I kept seeing advertisements on Instagram and Facebook for this Bocci 22 system outlet. And it's something totally different that I haven't seen before. It looks nothing like the Decora series outlets that we know or just a standard duplex outlet. So I really wanted to dig in and see if this was a new genius design or maybe something a little bit different. And then after the install, I'll show you the actual breakdown on the cost. And it's safe to say that you're going to be a little surprised both on the install and from a cost perspective. So let's jump into it. So we'll kick things off like we usually do to confirm there's no power at this outlet. So we want to take off our faceplate in our old duplex Decora outlet so we can start installing the new Bocci outlet. I'm just going to cut these wires off because I have a little extra, but you can already see I got a little bit of a problem. The plastic box is a little bit past that drywall surface, and that's not going to work for this install. So I'm going to just take my oscillating tool and do a little bit of trim work here to make sure that that is below the drywall surface. So the parts we're working with, we just have a drywall plate and the outlet itself. You will want to install the outlet or at least run those wires through the plate, and then we're actually going to connect it already at this stage, and we are far from finished. So we'll connect the hot, then we'll connect up our ground and our neutral, just using my favorite Wago 221 lever nuts, which makes quick work of this and solid connections. Then I'll use 20-minute hot mud, and I'll actually put a little bit of mud right on the outside of the plastic box. And then we'll screw in this plate, hoping that it pulls down as close as possible to the drywall. But it doesn't pull quite as much as I would hope because we'd want that mud to squish out behind the back of that plate through those little holes. But we'll press that outlet into place, but first we'll put the cap on that we'll need for the rest of this project. All right, so now that's installed, let's use some mesh tape to get all of those edges covered, which hopefully would help reduce any cracking in the future. Once that's in place, again, I'm going to mix up some 20-minute mud and start to practice my very rough drywalling skills. This first pass, I'm just going to build things up because I actually need to build quite a bit of material and feather this out, because that plate, again, was sticking out a little bit, and also there's a slight lip at the outlet itself. So once I have some of that material built up, I'll go ahead and let that dry, and then just do a light sanding, making sure no edges or ridges are going to stick out to the final surface. Once the sanding is done, then we'll go back through with another round and a larger knife, and we'll start to feather that out. My mix is a little dry here, but I am going to be able to work with it. And because I really just want to go through and demo this, the finish isn't quite what I'd want it to be. And if you're truly doing this at home, you're going to need to do a final skim coat to get everything looking good. So we'll do our sanding here and get it down to the finished surface for this time. And then we'll use the paint and we'll cover it up. Hopefully you have a color match, or you'll be painting the whole wall. So you can see there's a lot of steps involved in getting this outlet in place, and a lot more than what we're normally used to installing a duplex outlet. So drywall and painting completed. Now I'm curious to see how easy it is to get this cap off. So just make sure there's no damage to the paint. I'm actually going to score on the outside of this cap. Whew, that is not an easy install at all. Now, we haven't even talked about cost. And overall, I'll say I'm not super cost sensitive. You guys have seen me use these Wago lever nuts in this video and many other videos. I think they're awesome for DIYers because they make a more consistent, solid connection, especially when you're dealing with a multi-wire setup, like you'd be using a 5-wire Wago lever nut, or you have solid and stranded. So if you look below the video, you always see the link to our Amazon store, and in the electrical section, you'll see a bunch of different kits that are awesome to start off to give it a try and see if Wago lever nuts are right for your projects around the house. But back to this Bocci design outlet, what was the overall cost? Hopefully you guys already put in your predictions. Just for the plate that helps you do the drywall and the outlet itself, it was $170. And you heard that right. It was $170. So if we say a commercial grade Decora tamper resistant outlet is $5, this outlet right here is about 34 times more expensive. Kind of seems like a joke, but it gets even worse. If you actually want two outlets, so to get the same functionality in a single gang box, it is $320 for the two outlets and then the wall plate that would allow you to drywall that in. Something tells me you guys didn't guess quite that high. It's insane. It almost looks like it's a 10-pack. And then even you think at the cost of a 10-pack of these, you would say, wow, that's really expensive. And then you realize it's a cost of only one. But the craziness isn't quite over. You guys might have thought, how do you actually remove this thing? How do you service it, right? What if you need to get to those wire connections? What if you have a short or there's an issue? Well, guess what? There's actually a super fancy specialty tool that goes around this outlet and then helps pull that out. A few things. It cost $80. And what are the chances you're actually gonna have this on you or save it, or if somebody installed these before and you sold the house to you, that you'll have this to remove it? So technically, to do one install and have the tools you need, it's $250. Now, I appreciate, again, people trying different things, but this is the ultimate example of all design. So throw everything out the window when we're putting together what's the right product for the market and going all with the design. We just want this minimalistic design, and we don't care about the install and increased labor costs. We don't care about serviceability. We don't really care about overall quality, because honestly, this is not the highest quality outlet I've seen. Pretty much any brand commercial grade is much higher quality from a materials perspective. Needless to say, I will never install another one of these again, but maybe I'm missing out on something, so let me know down in the comments. Now, if you thought this was crazy and you want to see another video that was a little crazy but actually pretty effective, check out this video right here where I actually sealed up a massive crack in a sidewalk by using a pool noodle. So thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.